Welcome to Joe's Astrology, and I am a professional astrologer, and I'm looking at the charts from the Bachelor television show. We have Grant Ellis here on the left, and we have, I'm not sure how to say her name, Litia, maybe Litia, Litia, and she was born March 16th, 1993. And Grant was over here, born December 15th, 1993 as well. She's a Pisces, and he's a Sagittarius. And I'm going to try to show you guys if there's any compatibility here. It's called, if you're not familiar with this, it's called synastry. This is what we call synastry in astrology, and we're going to look at what these symbols mean and see if there's any compatibility. First thing I want you to notice, if you're new to astrology, you can just look at these clusters here, and we can see on her chart the planets are kind of all over the place. There's a lot of these what we call retrogrades, and just from a beginner standpoint, you can just see that just from that viewpoint, that's going to show us a lot of differences here, where Grant is going to be more of an idealist, less issues in the life. Of course, everyone has issues in their life, but we can see this person over here, there's going to be a lot of changes, there's going to be a lot of redoing things, indecision, things like that, just by looking at these two charts and how different they look based on that alone. But to get more into the specifics, let's see here. Pisces, let's just start with some basics. Pisces and Sagittarius. Do Pisces and Sagittarius get along? Well, the signs are making what's called a square in astrology. You see Pisces here, Sagittarius here, that's a square. There's some tension there between that aspect. However, both Pisces and Sagittarius are ruled by Jupiter. And that, because of that fact, we could say there is some compatibility there. Now, Jupiter shows different ways of expressing itself, and there will be that difference, that the Jupiter that rules Sagittarius and the Jupiter that rules Pisces won't exactly express themselves in the same way, and that's where we could maybe see some of the tension. And then we can look at their moon sign. Their moon signs, we don't have the birth time, so this moon here, his moon might be in Aquarius, but let's just say it's in Capricorn. Both of their moons are in Capricorn, so that is very similar, and both of their moons are what's known as being in a conjunction with Neptune and Uranus, because they were born the same year, and the moon is there where that Uranus-Neptune conjunction is. So this is going to actually show a lot of similarities because of that that conjunction there. Now his moon looks like, if we just go by this chart, would be in conjunction first with that Uranus. Hers would be with Neptune. So very much different there, in the sense that this would give her a more of that Pisces, as we talked about, the Pisces moon, and would give him more of that Aquarius feel. So the difference, we could say a difference there, is he's going to be more, he might be more masculine, more scientific, more calculating. She might be more dreamy, more thinking of living in the place of fantasy. And from when you watch her during the breakup between these two, that's what he's doing, isn't he? He's the Bachelor. He's calculating his, do I want to be with this person, over that person? And she's trying to win the prize, the trying to win the prince, and she's more in that dreamy state of, this is the dream guy, and versus Grant's choosing. He's in a position of choosing, really in that position of being able to choose. So we'll get more into that here as I move on. But we can look at some more things. The North Node. This is probably a really big one here. The North Node shows where a person is heading in life. Here's his North Node at 2 degrees Sagittarius, and her North Node is at 16 degrees Sagittarius. And this is perhaps the most heartbreaking part of this synastry. And you can see that with that North Node there in Sagittarius, there's no planets near it. He's got planets all near his. And this is really showing that the life is coming. Whatever's going on in the life will be in a fruition state. You think of fruition meaning it's coming, it's actually happening in this life. Where sometimes when there's no planets, this isn't the be all end all, but sometimes when there's no planets in the North Node, things are not happening in this life as what you would expect them to, or what you would desire for them to happen. So we see that difference there between their two charts. And the heartbreaking thing is that her North Node here at 16 degrees Sagittarius has his Venus, the planet of love, right on her North Node. You see it there, 15 degrees Sagittarius. And she would definitely feel as though this person is the one for her and would actually do a lot for her, emotionally, maybe financially, just in different ways, from a feeling standpoint, a love standpoint. And that's what's so heartbreaking about this, that she would feel that greatly, as she did in the show. And when this person, we say Grant, if Grant would decide to break up with her in life or real life, or say, I don't want to be with you, this would be very heartbreaking because of that. Because it's something that she can see in her future, but she can't actually have it. So there's that. And we can look at we can look a little bit more deeply into that and see this 16 degrees. There's Mercury here in Pisces squaring that North Node, and that's also showing, even though it's retrograde here, that's also showing that there's something that within the South Node. It's not pictured here, but the South Node in Gemini, there's something that she has to deal with in order to perhaps resolve something between these two nodes. Often there's a back and forth between these two nodes. There's something that she has to resolve. And this instance, I don't know that much about what happened on the show, but this instance in the show could be another one of those events where she has to do some reflection and some thinking, Mercury, about all of this. So let's go back to Grant here. We can see his Mars is here at 26 degrees Sagittarius. Hers is his Venus is at 15 degrees Sagittarius. And this alignment here, you can see Mars is first, Venus is trailing right up close. This is showing a person who's very idealistic. This is a person who can relate to a lot of different people and would have a lot of choices with women. Where we can look at hers, we see the Mars here in Cancer, and then the Venus in Aries, retrograde. This is also a square. So with his, it's a conjunction, and it's in what's called a balsamic conjunction that really describes that idealism and those choices, being able to relate to a lot of different people. And then we have hers in a square. And then so we have not only that, but the Mars is in Cancer. So this is going to be fundamentally a person who will have a lot of difficulty with relationships in life, not just because of the square, but because of the retrograde. Now, this doesn't mean that she's a bad person, but this can just, lead for the person individually to, even if they really want to fix things and make things right, just for some reason, it just never works out. Now, again, this doesn't mean that isn't going to have relationships, but there could be just trouble. Whereas with Grant, there's, again, that idealism, being able to fix things, being able to make things right, the smooth, if he makes the right decision, having a more smoother path. And then with her, there's also that Venus retrograde. And Venus retrograde points to Uranus. So there can be a lot of trauma, there can be a lot of changes, there could be a lot of independence, very independent woman, strong independent nature. And then even with that square as well, another strong independent nature. Uh, and guys will be able to pick up on that. And guy like Grant is going to have a decision. Is that the type of woman that he wants? Because he has decisions. And you see in the show, being in that position as the Bachelor would have a lot of decisions. And this Mars in Cancer as well, showing the difficulty. Mars in Cancer is in its fall, or its detriment. Venus in Aries is in its fall. So these two planets are in a debilitated place in Aries and Cancer. And with him and his Mars and Venus, they're not. They're in what we call maybe a neutral state. We can look a little bit deeper and see some things there as well. We can look at even the sit between the two charts. The Venus in Aries would be making a trine to his Mars, which would be positive. Her Mars is making a inconjunct to his Venus, which would be slightly negative, slightly problematic, but nothing really crazy there other than the things that I mentioned. Oftentimes this Mars-Venus balsamic can really get along with this phase here, this square phase between Mars and Venus, because the balsamic, the Grant person, would really be able to help this girl along in her in the things that she's dealing with. And again, it comes back to, does this person with this Grant person with this alignment, would he want to do that for her? And as on the show, you can see that I don't know everything about the show, but with the breakup that he is deciding not to. And if you made it this far, stay tuned, because I'm going to do the synastry between him and the winner of the show. So we'll take a look at that, and we'll really see the differences, because I would imagine that the winner is going to have a chart that looks more like Grant's for sure, especially with less of these things like the Venus retrograde and the squares and etc. So let's look at one more thing here. We see Jupiter making an opposition to that Venus in Libra. And this angle here, this Libra Aries, especially with Jupiter in Libra, this person is going to have options as well. She's going to be able to get into relationships, no doubt about that. But is she going to find the quote unquote one? It's going to be more difficult with this alignment here, this Jupiter opposite Venus, the retrogrades, especially the retrograde in Libra, because this is showing that she's redoing something to do with relationships. New decisions will have to be made. Or if we come to his chart, he has Jupiter in Scorpio, and Scorpio is a fixed sign and has all the really going along with all the other things that I mentioned. With Jupiter in Scorpio, he is going to be, this is really showing, and the no retrogrades is really showing that he's not redoing anything. All systems go. Decisions are hard, they're made, and he sticks with them. And there's no need for him to redo those decisions. You can see, just want to point out the difference there between Scorpio and Libra. He will be fundamentally, when he makes his decision, these decisions, he will be sticking with those decisions, but just based on this Jupiter. And she will have doubt. She will have doubt. The issues will come up, and she will have to really push and fight through those to make it work in the long term. So I'm going to leave you there with that for now. Stay tuned. I'm going to do the finalists, and maybe I'll come back to this one as well. We'll go a little bit deeper if that's what the viewers will want to see. And as I mentioned, I am a full-time astrologer. I do astrology on a daily basis. If you like your chart read, you can find my contact information on my YouTube or on my website. And thanks for watching.